It's day 13, Monday the 30th of October, back at Whitehall Farm. It's a beautiful evening. You can see the black silage sheet that I put down at Tuesday evening last week. It was a bit hairy putting this up in the dark. It was very windy, but I had to redo it on Wednesday. You can see now though, it's quite tight. So I've gone round the edges with a trench and then tucked in the plastic, covered it with soil, and we've got some tyres on, and that looks like it hasn't really moved since last week, which is great. Not much wind today, as you possibly can see from the bird scarer. Somebody's going for a ride in a balloon. It's the first time I've seen one of those here. Colin has been over this bit of ground during the week. This is what will become blocks 5 and 6. So that's great, just stopping the couch grass from coming up before I go over it with a fork. I've just planted these chard plants for my allotment. Let's see if I can get some of those established. And everything's looking okay. 1 or 2 transplants have died. I was a bit worried that these were going to suffer. These are the cabbages, Duncan and Sennan, because it's been quite dry. It hasn't really rained since last week, or possibly the week before. But everything's looking okay. I haven't done much today. I've just been trying to order some enviromesh and some fleece, which will go over these beds to protect them from pests mainly, keep the temperature up a little bit. And also I'm going to order some Mypex, which is a black ground cover, which will just stop the weeds from coming up. That will go around the edges of the plot and along these central paths. It's Tuesday the 31st of October, it's day 14 on the market garden here at Harvest Barn, and let's have a look at some of the jobs that I am doing and that need doing this week. It was about 6 degrees last night. It's probably between 8 and 10 degrees today. I've got a few plants that I sowed at home, and some that I picked up from Hannah, who is farming at Eves Hill Farm near Reetham in Norfolk. This is block 4 with 10 beds, and they're all planted up now apart from bed A, the first bed, 4A. I'm going to have flowers in there, probably some tulip bulbs and narcissus bulbs, and the rest of it is the salads and onions that you saw me planting in the previous weeks. And then block 1 is cabbages with a bit of pak choy, and they're all doing okay. It hasn't rained for a week or 2, so the soil is pretty dry, but they have survived okay. And then this is block 5 with the red Russian kale that I planted last week. The plants that I have sown are much weaker than the ones that I have got from Delftland, and I don't know if that's because when I start them off they haven't got enough light in my where I grow them at home. You can see some chard here and cabbage. These are just a few things that I planted last minute. They're looking quite weak, but they should be okay once they get established. And then this morning I've just been digging these 3 beds, 5B, C and D. So I've got those to plant up. These are some chard plants that I brought from my allotment that are looking a bit wilted, but they should take alright. I might put a bit of water on them. This is my planning for where I'm going to plant things and how much space they're going to take up, which I do just before I plant stuff out, so I know it's going to fit, and which beds I want to put everything in. I just need to work out how many rows I'm going to have for each plant and what the distance is going to be between each plant, the centres, and then I can calculate how much space they'll take up and whether there'll be enough room, and I can change the distances slightly to make them fit. It's not ideal doing the plantings like this with these little quantities. It's fiddly with the measuring and then with the harvesting, but they are left over from home, and some of these will be from Hannah that she was going to throw away, so it's good to use them, and also it helps me to know what's going to work and what isn't by just growing a few plants. It's the end of another day. It's Tuesday evening and I'm just planting the last of the salads. So you can see it's just getting dark now. The days are getting shorter and I'm having to stop much earlier, which means long evenings. So it's a little bit of a rush to get everything done, but there's not much else to do this week. I'll do a little bit of hoeing. I'm doing some watering at the moment, and I'm just going to go around and see if there's any couch grass coming through which I can pull out. A wrap. Finito. That's everything planted. I think. Until next time, garlic, tulips, narcissus. Don't think I'm going to have any other transplants to plant this year. So now it's all about digging more beds and building the washing station and getting some scales and bags, so I can start selling leaves if people want them, and hoeing, keeping on top of the weeds. So these are the pak choy. You can see there is some couch grass coming up, and sometimes it comes up with the roots, sometimes it just breaks off, and if it breaks off then the root is still in there, it will grow again. There's a big bit of root, and there's also some little seedlings growing. And slightly worryingly with this pak choy, you can see the leaves have got some holes in them and some pest damage, which means in theory you would find it hard to sell leaves that look like that. So I am getting some enviromesh which should keep some of the pests out, but it's a little bit worrying when leaves are damaged. So I did go over this bed last week with the small hoe, but you can see I missed a few. I don't think these have come up. Well, they may have come up since last week. But I would need to go over this again before too long. There's some grass that's quite deep, that's broken off, but these are quite tasty leaves. Anyway, you'll see there's a bit of moisture beneath the surface. A bit peppery, those leaves, really nice. But I would probably need to go over this in the next week or two.
can do anything you want when it's good for you and good for everyone. Well, there's no need to wait, just activate. Do what you can with what you've got. You can be anything you want when you is who you is, playing your own part.
Just in case the battery dies, which it's about to, this is the last bit of fleece I'm putting on this week. I'd like to cover all the cabbages, but I haven't got time, so I'm just putting it over some of the tender watercress and lettuces that I've planted this week.
Listen to suggestions, but just be who you are. 'Cause it's gonna be right. It's gonna be right. Put your mind to what you want. Write it down every night. 'Cause it's gonna be right. When the time is right, well, you can't go wrong when it's right. And you can have anything you want.
Some interesting stuff happening here with the measuring. That's a 15 metre long piece of fleece, but it's not long enough for the beds, so maybe the beds are longer than 15 meters, and it also seems to be wide enough at this end but not wide enough at the other end, so maybe my beds are not 30 inches wide all the way along. Anyway, not too important. Let's see.